Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Hi, welcome to Innovation Unplugged. This is the first episode in our Innovation Unplugged studio in Decatur, Alabama. We've got full sound. We got a new soundboard upgraded by Stephen Adams from Calhoun Community College. And so we're excited. It's probably our third episode recorded here, but first one with some really good lighting and sound, and we're making some progress. And so the Seed Creative folks will be happy. I'm Houston Blackwood, host of the show. On my right, which is a flip from our normal show, is Matt Heaton. You guys all know and love Matt. And then on my left is Drew Haney, ACCS Director of External Affairs.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
That's a big title. I have you in my phone, the only phone I have, as D.W. Haney.
D.W. Haney.
Updated that.
I like that. I think we should make that stick.
Yeah.
Let's make it a thing.
Okay. Well, from now on, I'm calling you Darryl Waltrip.
Okay.
You don't know who that is?
No idea.
D.W. Well, he's a NASCAR guy.
Oh, well, that's probably why.
Okay. Back in the day, back before. Anyway, so Drew, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me. Well, thank you. So we always do a little quick intro, and I would like to say that today it's interesting that you're recording with us today, because today's episode went out was part two of a conversation I had with Charles Jones a couple weeks ago, and both sequence was called The Utility Player. Yeah. The Utility Player Advantage, and based on Charles's vast background and experiences, and many, many jobs that he's held and roles he's done so well in across the ACCS. And so you've also been a bit of a utility player. And we're going to get into all that in a little bit, but always doing every single one well. So give us the Cliff's Notes before we get into all that and what is external affairs. Give us the inside track on who is D.W. Haney.
Okay. Well, I always feel like people say it's a little easier to explain or describe somebody else or talk about somebody else than it is yourself. So this might be a little more complicated, but so Drew Haney, she's someone who joined the system office this time last year. I've now moved up to Director of External Affairs for the system office, and it's kind of a role that blends a lot of different things. I do a little bit of everything, but mainly government relations is a really big instrumental part of what I do, and our team does. We have a whole team, actually. Executive Director of External Affairs, Alan Bates, and then we have a team of regional folks around the state as well that are really integral pieces of this team. But we do a little bit of everything from government relations, communications a little bit, and a lot of strategic initiatives. So I would say I describe what a day in the life is like, but there's not really a single day that is the same. But, I will say there's one core element that is the same for the external affairs team, and that's really just getting to share the good news and the good stories and the good work that our colleges are doing to different members and integral stakeholders for the ACCS. So legislators, business and industry, and just communities across the state. So we do a little bit of everything, but I would say that's one of our core principles. That's the same. We just get to share the good news of the ACCS and its colleges.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I mean, you get to talk about the cool stuff all the time.
Get to hear the good stuff. Get to talk about the cool stuff. It's really a unique opportunity.
Yeah. Let's back up a little bit. When you were, you told me the other day we were prepping for this show. You told me a little bit about your high school background and how you got into the communications or government affairs world. And I think the reason I bring it up is, it's summertime and we've got some kids who probably just graduated. We're like, I don't know what I want to do still. And I think hearing from someone who's young and accomplished and well-spoken about it might be helpful for their granny or their auntie, whoever hears this and say, well, old D.W.
Haney
did these things. But it gives them some insight into their planning and not always having to have the perfect plan.
Yeah. So graduated from high school. I knew that I wanted to go off to a four-year university. I wanted to pursue a communications degree. And so I went and toured UNA, fell in love with it. So spent all 4 years at UNA And I really thought at first I wanted to go into more like the public relations side of things, maybe a little bit of speech writing. I knew I always had a passion for politics and the government relations, and specifically on a state level. So fast forward, I was at UNA and I started wanting to intern. So my first summer at UNA, I interned for Governor Ivy, and I was her communications intern. And in that, I did a lot of speech writing, press events, a lot of videography, so a lot of different things with that team. Fast forward, I went to intern. I guess next would have been Senator Tuberville up in DC, and that was kind of an opportunity that I was surprised to get. I just applied. I never thought in a million years that was something that I would get. I never really had an interest in moving to DC, but I saw it and I said, you know what, I'm going to apply. I want to give it a try. And so going up there, I was actually, oddly enough, so communications courses weren't really offered online at UNA. And so political science were, and they were offered as an elective, a qualified elective for communications degrees. So anyway, I was taking political science. I was interning up there, and that's kind of what really started that adventure. So I double majored in communications and political science. And then came back home for the summer. That internship was during the winter. And then the summer came home, interned for the Department of Ag. I was in a little more of a communications role there. And then fast forward again, another summer. So the trend here is I interned and was busy every single summer, trying out all the experiences. And then came back, got to intern for the lieutenant governor, in which I really got to dive into the policy side of things and how state policy is made and how state government really does work, and less of a communications role. I did a little bit of both, but kind of blended the two. And so that's kind of how I found my niche. Is I went and tried every single thing there really was to try. I went and entered every single opportunity that I could so that I could get hands-on experience and really figure out what I wanted to do from there. Because in college, I thought I wanted to do comms, and that truly is what I stuck with. But really found my niche and throughout the internships and different opportunities that I was provided. So,
what would you say to a young person who had those same dreams or something similar, who was looking to get into those types of internships? Because I think that your resume, my goodness, the governor, the senator, Department of Ag, lieutenant governor. That's not a light list, of course, but what advice would you give to a young person looking to get into one of those internships like that?
Yeah, I think just try it. Just try. I mean, what's it going to hurt to put yourself out there and really try it? So, like I said, I never thought that I would be even given the opportunity to have any of these internships. I didn't think I'd ever get them. But I really wanted to get out there really and try it for an interview experience. If I could land an interview, this would only make me better in the future. And so to anyone even considering it, try something. I never thought I would want to move to DC, but I tried it. And I learned quickly I did not necessarily want to be up in DC. I have more of an interest in the state side of things, but it never hurts you to put yourself out there, try new things, and just become as well-rounded as you can be. Because
one of those interns, did you really sit and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm really doing this"?
Ooh, I don't know. It kind of hit me up in DC. I think I was. It's
a whole different world than.
It's a completely different world than the state government world. I would say. I think it just hit me. Wow, this is. I'm 20 years old in DC. I was given an opportunity. They took a shot on me. And so I really need to improve myself up here. And it was a very rewarding experience getting to walk the halls of the Capitol and just be a very, very small part in learning what it looks like for those staff members up there.
I watch a lot of those government shows, House of Cards being my favorite.
Yeah.
I hope that your experience was nothing like that. But West Wing and some of those shows, but what was it like being active day to day in part of the decision-making process, or at least part of the process in such a storied place? And you said like it kind of hit you when you were up there, but like what was it really like? What was the feeling day to day walking down the halls of Congress or the White House or wherever you went?
I was just really, I was just starstruck the whole time. And all I could just think is the amount of gratitude that I had for them giving me the opportunity to just be up there and watch how they work. Even if I wasn't doing, if I wasn't writing the policy, which they did give me the opportunity. It was actually really, really neat. As an intern up there, you get to, you're tasked to write your own piece of legislation. And then you have to present it to the senator at the end of your term as an intern, and you present it to him and his entire staff. And so that was something really cool, just the opportunity to be up there and to be heard. All I could just think of is how gracious I was for the opportunity, because I really do think, that was new for me. I had moved to UNA, but UNA is an hour from home. I moved up to DC, which was a 12-hour drive without a car. Where I was living, it was a girls' dorm that was across from the Capitol, and so they didn't have anywhere you park your car. So I was up there without a car, and there's just something, being from Ardmore, we didn't really have Uber and those kind of things. So just getting thrown right into it and really learning firsthand.
What was your legislation that you put forward?
Yeah, so okay, I was actually very proud of this one. I hope they bring this back up.
Please tell me it had something to do with dog days.
No, nothing to do with dog days. It probably should have. So what it was reallocating funds within a certain. That was kind of the big thing. You didn't want to, within government, you don't want to create anything that's going to cost a whole bunch of money. So my approach was we were going to reallocate funds within a certain fund to provide a free overnight stay to our veterans at any national park across the country. And so that was when it was easy to advocate and get up there and talk about, because it was something I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
It was also something the senator was passionate about. He was on the various committees up there and had a very big passion for our veterans and military personnel. So it was easy. It was an easy project for me, and I just spent months researching and learning the budget process and figuring out the numbers to reallocate to eventually be able to allow veterans to have an overnight stay at a state park or a national park.
Have any of those interns' presentations have they ever picked it up and ran with it?
I don't know. They didn't pick mine up and run with it, I'm sure. Maybe one day. I don't know. I don't know that they have or not. I probably should circle back on it. I'm sure someone has had one that they have picked up and took off with.
I like that model. That's pretty cool. What do you think? The question I'm trying to figure out here is, when you were there, was Senator Tuberville already thinking about governor? Was that in the whispers?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I was up there at the very beginning of his term. And so he had just kind of begun. He was a junior senator up there. And I was actually up there during the Russia-Ukraine invasion. There was a whole lot of things. There was the trucker rally up there. And so I will say that made me a little more well-rounded, because I was answering the phones and, learning how to interact with constituents and those things. So I don't think he was thinking about it there, but he might have been. He just probably didn't tell me.
Yeah, I don't think that it was. I'm not a political person. I don't think it was his idea.
I don't know.
Completely. Much like we talked about you, like you're here until you get plucked into some role. You're running for something. I think it seemed like back in the day, like he kind of got encouraged to do it, and then he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I think I will." I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
Maybe so. So
Cool.
I don't know either. He didn't share it with me. So
Just put that out on MySpace yet?
No, not yet.
That's cool. So long story short, you do all that. You see all these amazing things, and you work your way back to Alabama, and then remind us how you actually got into the community college system.
Yeah, so I actually met with Chancellor Baker. So in my term with the lieutenant governor, one of his passions was workforce development. And so he's kind of what sparked my interest in the community college system, and connected with Chancellor Baker and had the opportunity to meet with Chancellor and really talk about his vision for this system. And once I heard from Chancellor Baker and Dr. Cox about their vision and their passion for their work, I knew this was a team. This was something that I wanted to be a part of, because I shared that passion. And even though I might not have realized if I were to look back when I was interning in college, I might not have thought, oh, I'm going to go work at the community college system. I wish I could say that was the case, but it just wasn't something that I'd ever thought of until I started experiencing the people that worked with the community college system and the passion that they have for the work that they do and their vision for the state.
And to sit and listen to those visions, it's easy to buy in.
Oh, absolutely. You want to be a part of it.
Yep.
You want to play a small role and do whatever you can to just overall make the state of Alabama better for its citizens.
Yep. Agreed. And I think we all would share that passion and
That's right.
that attraction to the goal. So you mentioned earlier that your job as director of external affairs is just to tell the good story, just to spread the good news.
Yeah.
But also, like you have a chance to influence decision makers around the state and gather information and present those stories in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look across the landscape of a community college system, and maybe it's the north or south, whatever is going on, what are the things that you're looking for from the colleges?
Yeah.
That would help them tell their story most effectively?
So I think one thing that really stands out, it's always good to report. We always want to report on our enrollment numbers. We want them to get a good grasp of, how big the impact is, what is the economic impact for their community and their region specifically. But I think for me, something that has always resonated with me, and I think resonates well with anybody that's involved with the system or in leadership, is hearing the stories from the students of, their how community college changed their life. If it wasn't for so-and-so community college, I would not be where I am today. And so it's really helpful when you're sitting down with a legislator or a lawmaker, a decision maker, business and industry partner, to share with them how it really impacts the students. Because we do absolutely want to share, economic development and the economic impact that it does bring to our state, but how it impacts the people. Because that's something that Chancellor Baker, has even spoken about. It's about the people, it's about the students.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess it's important to make sure that really relates. These are your constituents, and this is how their lives are affected in your community. And here's how they changed their life, or how they went on to do this, or they moved directly into career. So I feel like that's one of the things that's my favorite to share, is those different stories from different students in colleges.
You think that's true? Credit, non-credit students, does it matter?
No.
If they're under the college flag, it's a win.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes our system so unique, is that we're agile, and the fact that we can provide you a credential, you can a non-credential. Either way, we're connecting you to a pathway forward, whether that be a career, if you want to go on to a 4-year, whatever your path looks like. We are able to provide the resources to you to make that dream happen.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even really recognize that's your dream until you start to do it. Like I said, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And so even as a career exploration model, this is something that is really important.
Is there a story so far that sticks out the most?
Not necessarily. I want to say Wallace Hansful did a really good job. So I had the privilege of attending their graduation ceremony. And while we're there, there's various stories of, a mother who her daughter had passed away, and she wanted to pursue a teaching degree because that's what her daughter wanted to do. And so during the graduation ceremony, they share all these different opportunities, and the students stand up. And I mean, it's just a tearjerker moment, because it really brings you back to the reason why you do what you do. And to just be able to help share that is just such a privilege to me, and anybody at the ACCS. So I would say being at that graduation ceremony was probably one of my favorites, because there was just so many different, there was probably 5 or 6 different stories per graduation ceremony of students, how they turned their life around, or, continued their path, or they honored their daughter through a teaching degree, those kind of things. So there's plenty of them, and each one's unique, and each one's emotional.
Well, yes. And Wallace, they do a good job with it doesn't matter what graduation it is, if it's nursing, workforce, whatever, they've always got 4 or 5 that they all stand out, but they're going to tell a story of 4 or 5, and it definitely reminds you.
That's right. And
do what you do.
And you have a good point. Like they do, those stand out, but that's a consistent story for a lot of people. Not everybody's story is the same, and they're just highlighting a few. And so I think it's unique. Like everybody coming to community college is different, and that's what makes us so special, is that we're agile, and the fact that we recognize everyone comes from everybody has different needs, and we're able to adapt to those to really get students where they want to be.
Yeah. Quick personal story to that point. This is a brag on the colleges, because I'm about to hand this off. There's a young man in my community at home, and for whatever reason, he's 17, no driver's license, not going to school. I don't know how he slipped through the cracks. But a lady got involved, a neighbor, and was like, "Hey, you gotta have GED, you gotta have your shots, you gotta have." I think he actually got hurt or something and had to go to the doctor and had nothing. So he was like, "Well, where's your stuff?" Long story short, now he called me today. He's like, "Hey, can you work at Calhoun?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I work here." That didn't fly. He didn't understand what we do. But he's like, "But I need my GED. And Miss Kelly told me to call you. She said it would be handled." And I'm like, "You're right, it will be. Give me an email address." And so I know, like, as soon as I hand off I'm going to kick him to Calhoun and Hansville, because that's where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this kid's going to get a GED, and I know what's going to happen. They're going to get him into some kind of training program.
Yep.
And he just wanted to go to the doctor to get some stitches or something, But now he's going to end up with a dadgum career.
And that's awesome.
Because somebody knew somebody who worked in the system. Like, "Oh, you can handle that." And that happens all the time. And that, you think about a kid who's sheltered and reserved and wasn't advocated for a long time. And in 6 months, he's going to be caught up to speed.
Wow.
And on his way. And I think that's the power of the college system.
Cool.
A lot of things. So to that point, Matt and I work on the same team. We have for a long time. I mean, at least 10 years now. We don't know each other 10 years.
10 years going on 15 now.
Yeah, 10 years in a 12-year town. But, when we first met, we were advocating for kids. I was an assistant principal, special ed teacher, and, we were working on the kids who were left behind and aligning programs and things that work for them. When I look across the landscape of all of what we do, it seems like sometimes there's a lot of funding that goes around, and everybody's fighting for the dollar, rightly so. How does it look in your perspective when you're in this information is for the colleges, okay? Because I know for a fact there are a lot of for-credit and uncredited folks that listen to this show,
Right.
believe it or not. What advice would you give to those colleges when they're preparing their stories, their programming, their proposals to really capture beyond the stories, like technical information or overall approach, to really sell what they do holistically to the decision makers?
Yeah, I think you have to include a number of different elements. So a lot of times you talk about ROI. We hear that a lot in the State House, ROI. And so they want to see where exactly those dollars went and how they impacted and what was the return on investment for their investment in the community college system or their college specifically. And alongside a lot of those different success stories. But I also think it's important to share the partnerships that they have in their community because of how they work with business and industry to fill the workforce gaps and the workforce needs, specifically their community, because every region's different. Every region has different needs and different gaps to fill in. And so I think that's another important part is to share who you're partnering with, how you're working with others, because there are so many of those different elements that, we know about them because we see them and we make it our job to study those. But, it's something always good to share is, here's we're partnering with so-and-so from so-and-so, and I know so-and-so that works there. And so it really relates, and it's also in turn helping the community and benefiting their community itself because their job is, to serve the constituents in their region, just like our colleges. And so it's kind of a shared moment of impact there.
I like that. As they're telling that story, no doubt there are other groups in their community doing the same thing. Training groups are everywhere, advocacy groups. What advice would you give to them, and I think to us too, like as everybody is learning what workforce development really is?
Right.
And now I just saw today, so Meta has the Workforce Academy, America's Workforce Academy. The Pentagon just dropped $10 million into skilled trades. The Pentagon.
Mhm.
right? And the reason is welding, electrical, all the things to, it's a national defense issue.
Mhm.
We've said that for a long time. But then it's really trickling down and people are really pushing some steam, and I think they're all coming out now.
Right.
I think in the next 6 months, a year, we'll see a lot of groups doing workforce training who weren't a year ago, but now they've got funding or they're nosing in and trying to get that. Speak to collaboration among all those groups.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, because it's important. I mean, you've got to think of the legislature. They're serving their constituents, who also is that business partner or whoever. And we never want to, it's not a fight between anybody across the state. For that funding, we want to share. We want to be a collaborative partner. And so we recognize, if there is an individual that gets that funding, how can we work with them to share what we do? So we're not only duplicating efforts, but how can we be a partner and help what they're doing to in turn only make the community better. And so I think a big part of what we do is collaborating with our chambers of commerce, our local community, leadership. There's a number of individuals that colleges will collaborate with and should collaborate with, and I think that's something they do very well. And so if there's somebody that's getting the funding in your area, figure out how we can collaborate with them.
Yeah.
What can we do to share what we do, and not duplicate efforts, because we in turn we all have the same goal. We just want to help the citizens of Alabama, and provide opportunity for more people. So I would say find whatever you can do to collaborate with those different individuals in the community. And our colleges do a great job of that. They do a fantastic job of that. So just showcasing that, really.
They do when they know about it. But sometimes I think from the college perspective, they're a little hesitant to jump out there. And I say the people like the workforce, maybe the directors or the deans are comfortable enough, bold enough to go after it. But some people call them worker bees, but the coordinators and the specialists, like they hear about it and they're like, oh, well, there's that organization over there. How do they get involved? Is your team, this can be a no answer, but is your team willing to go and say, hey, business, or hey, association, we see you're doing this thing, and I've got this college in your area that's already kind of doing the same thing or want to, because what's happening right now is you have a lot of the funding that has been decided on for FY27.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's about to roll out in a couple of months in October 1. And so these colleges are like, wait a minute, well, they're doing what we're doing. We're kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
Maybe it's even, maybe it's just staggered.
Yeah.
Is your team willing to help those colleges make those connections?
Absolutely. Our team is fantastic. And that's something they're already doing. So a lot of our, we have a team of regional folks. We have, the North region, Central, all over the state, Wiregrass, the South Alabama region is kind of like that Mobile region down there. And that's the integral part that they play. We want to be a connector. We want to be able to assist our college. If there's something, they're at every chamber event, they're at every event possible. And so when they get wind of anything, maybe it's a new business coming or maybe it's a new need, to kind of share the good news of our college. And so that's the important piece of our team is that, we can't be everywhere all at once. You just can't, and you want to be. And so they play that important connector between their colleges in that specific region, and they really are able to hone in on that region specifically and have that specific knowledge and the connections there to just be able to say, yep, sure, let me give so-and-so a call. Let me give so-and-so a call. And they're already that's something they're already doing. But we'll definitely encourage that more as a part of the puzzle.
Knowing the specific needs.
That's right.
Within that region too.
That's right. And that's what makes them that's just such an advantage of having regional people, because they know, they've been there. A lot of them were raised there. Yeah. And so they know the 15-year history of that business coming or that long time coming project, that kind of thing.
Your team is really fun. I've known Zach Lee since I worked at Calhoun. Yeah. And I tag him on everything that's in the North, or really sometimes the whole state, because he gives really honest feedback.
That's right.
And he'll call me or text. He texts us a lot when our podcast come out. He's like, like he'll send a joke.
He's going to die when he sees this one. He doesn't know I'm here.
Well, to be fair, I've invited him 57 times.
Yep. Well, we'll get him on here.
He won't do it. Love him. But he'll call, or he'll say, hey, did you know about this? Or, hey, you might think about this. Mm-hmm. Several times pretty well saved my keister on like missing an obvious pass.
Right.
Just a situation.
He's so well plugged in. I mean, he's so well. People call Zach Lee for anything and everything. Hey, so and so is coming to town, and he plays that strategic connector between the colleges, the Innovation Center, the system office, ATN, all of us. He kind of plays that strategic connector for the North region. But Zach knows everything going across the entire state, I will say. So.
He does. He's always been good to me, and he's like he might be one of the also most interested men in the state. He can play any instrument with his toes upside down. He's crazy.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's very musical. Yeah.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't tell his business on the air. So you got
come on and tell his own business.
He could.
That's right.
So you know what? We've invited and he didn't come. We'll tell it. No. So you got him. You got Zach in the north, and you've got Sydney Sullivan in the central.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you stole her from our team.
Sorry about it. She's a great asset to our team. We love her. I got off the phone with Sydney right before I came down here. Yeah.
Yes, we miss her. She did a good job. And then you have the Wiregrass. That is
Joe Williams. And so Joe actually kind of has a unique side. So he has a lot of experience with the federal side. Because, we talk a lot about state because we get a lot of our funding from the state. That we have a line item specifically for the state. But there's also a lot that funnels down from the federal government. And so Joe also plays that strategic connector not only for the Wiregrass region and his colleges there on a state level, but also the federal level. So he's kind of like our congressional federal liaison for that region, but for the entire state as a whole. And then we've got Fraser Payne down in the south, like the Mobile region.
Yep. And that's a very well-rounded group. And then you're sitting there with all of them, and Alan Bates at the top.
Yeah.
That guy's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
A lot of fun. I bet y'all have a good time.
Always. I wish you could be on our group calls.
Yeah. Well, I'm just want to invite away. So give us a quick rundown. This is being recorded in July. So we're halfway through the year. Fiscal year is quickly approaching. You mentioned earlier in the day, legislative meetings are starting to happen for FY28 discussions. What are some of the top 3 big things that the system office, college system, or the state are really looking at in workforce or economic development?
Yeah, so I think workforce development, you've probably heard a lot. It's really taken a forward role with our legislators and our incoming elected officials. It's really one of those hot topics, which is fortunate for us because that's exactly what we do, workforce development. But I think another thing, dual enrollment is always been that was one of our legislative priorities last year. But, it has grown. I forget the exact year, but I mean, that number is 230%. Dual enrollment students. And so I think that's always going to be one of our priorities. But we also do, nursing, healthcare shortages across our state. We hear of hospitals all the time in their region that might be closing, or they're always looking for more employees or qualified workers to come be a part of their team. And so I would say, that's a lot of what our push is and the state's push is. How can we expand and be a part to help? And how can we be a solution and help provide more healthcare workers across our state, train more folks, and get more people out there into their careers, specifically healthcare and dual enrollment. I always get back to that. I think it's one of the. It used to be kind of a hidden gem, I will say. Not anymore whatsoever. We've just experienced tremendous growth. And so that's always something we're going to continue to push for throughout the legislative session.
Yeah, the dual enrollment, I think we had it when we were in high school. Maybe, I don't know. But I remember as a teacher, it was a big deal. Some kids were taking it. Then there was the whole debate of AP versus dual enrollment. And I'm like, y'all are dummies. Dual enrollment, you're getting a credit. And I think that caught on quickly. In my house, my son's taking them. Thinking is too.
I'm a proud Calhoun dual enrollment student.
But what I think would be a really valuable tool for one more sales pitch would be, hey, listen, kiddos, take your dual enrollment, get the credit, get graduate high school, and then you could theoretically cut some years off of college. And if you have a 529 or some kind of education savings account, you can now, especially 529s, you can enroll them into either some kind of IRA. Investment fund, or you can put them as a down payment on a house, tax free.
Wow.
And kids don't know that. Parents don't know that.
Right.
And I had an accountant tell me that a couple years ago. I think a lot of people don't know that. So that might be a more incentive for those kids to take that dual enrollment and really do well with it, get that credit. Because you think about, like, if you could graduate a 4-year university in 2 years and then take whatever money was saved and roll it tax-free into a house.
Oh, yeah.
You just skipped a generation.
Yep.
In terms of wealth. So,
dual enrollment for me, I go back to how I was originally just one major and then ended up doing a not a dual major, a double major. I completed that in 4 years. I was in and out the same amount of time, basically 2 majors because of dual enrollment. I took all my electives and my core classes at Calhoun while I was still in high school. I did AP. I'm not proud to say that I did not pass the AP exam, did not get a credit for it. So, specifically psychology, I'd go back and take that one in college, and biology, both. But, dual enrollment really set me up to be able to say, oh, well, I can just tack on another major while I'm here because I'm here for 4 years. That wasn't my plan to be there for 4 years. And I could have graduated earlier if I did not tack on that double major. But
yeah. Did you know that I have a double major too?
No.
Biology and PE.
No, I did not know that.
You want to ask me why I have the PE biology instead of chemistry?
Yeah, please.
Because of organic chemistry.
Oof.
And a really fun social life that semester. But I discovered I couldn't do boat structures in organic chem. And so the instructor was like, you're not ever going to pass organic 2, and you're certainly not going to pass biochem. So you need to change your major. So I went to English, and it was 75,000 hours at UNA. So I switched to PE.
PE.
Yeah. So I could always have a job. Never used it.
I was telling you, my mom, she majored in physical education. She was a PE teacher for quite some time. And she worked her way up. She was PE teacher, she was computer teacher, assistant principal, and eventually principal for Madison County school system over at Spartan Middle.
Yeah.
She used her PE degree.
The only reason I ever really had it was most fun. In one semester, I had all my electives. I had swimming, walking, aerobics, and some other fitness class. That's all I had that semester.
I should have done that. I took political science electives. I totally should have taken like walk, jog, run.
Yeah, walk, jog, run. That's what all good for fitness. Anyway, so digressing. All right. If you could leave the audience with a final thought and what your role is, or how they could really leverage your skill set of your team to impact their college, what would you tell them?
Yeah, just one thing we really want to do is just share the story. It's important to us. The more we know, the more we can share. But also, I think it's important for colleges. They do a very, very good job of maintaining their relationships with their state elected officials. And that's something our team never wants to step in the way of. We just want to be an addition to that. If we can help in any way, what can we do to assist you to further this relationship? Just because we are down there during legislative session, there's that 3 months out of the year we're down there, we're in the State House every single day. And so the more we know, when I'm walking down the hall and someone brings up, hey, what's the status on this project? I can say that. They do a really good job. We just want to be an additional support mechanism for them. We never want to get in the way of anything that they're doing. We just want to help in whatever way we can, just because we do have that advantage of being there, being in the State House, and being able to share everyone's story when we run into someone. I think that's probably the last thought is, just share everything. We want to know everything. Yep. If we want to know it all, we want to be able to share it all. We want to help you, help us help you.
Yeah. You can't use it if you don't know it.
That's right.
For sure. That's good. Well, thanks for your time today. I know that your commute here was a really long one.
Yeah. Downstairs.
Downstairs, yeah, which is really fun. It's really, really fun to have this studio here. And we've got a lot of things cooking here. So, Matt, final thoughts?
Appreciate you coming on. A lot of great insight and plug in stories. Let them hear it so they can help plug for more legislative funding for whatever you got coming.
Telling stories reminds me, we should get Zach to do was that Masterpiece Theater from like Sesame Street or something way back when, like the fireplace and the big chair, and he told stories.
Oh no, I probably wasn't born then.
You're not. Anyway, I just stated myself. Anyway, yeah. So tell the story, folks. Good. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all working. We got Brendan Russian is our intern this semester. He's over on the cameras and the lighting, and we've been working on the soundboard for a while. So this episode's pretty cool to have kind of the full Monty for the first time. So
Oh yeah, this is awesome. Can we talk about the lighting for a second in the studio? I mean, this thing is legit.
yeah, we got the
Great.
walls painted black and nice table.
Yeah, who built this table?
I did, but it's small. It needs to be a little bit bigger.
No,
So,
it's-
Splinter in my hand a while ago.
a bit bigger, but cool. But Brendan's done a good job of tracking down the sound. That stuff's tricky. It's like electricity, man. It just doesn't make sense to me. But good stuff. All right. Again, thanks for being here, Matt. As always, thanks for being here. Wrap us up like a Christmas gift.
Yes. As always, any information we talked about, you can visit our website, train4alabama.com. That's train, FOR, alabama.com. And this is going to conclude another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all your social media platforms. Thank you.